Clarity Nation! What's going on? The umbrella looks like a big dildo in the back. Block it out. This just looks even weirder. Give it a second for people to come on. Just a friendly reminder. Hashtag replay if you're catching this in the future. Hashtag live. Let me know if you're tuning in on this live. Help this message get out. Smash that like button. Smash the heart button. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it. Because whether you want to hear it or not, our diets impact our lives in so many ways. And I could speak to this from personal experience. That's right, personal experience. I'm kind of open about this. When I was younger, like when I was a teen and stuff, I really sucked at taking care of myself. I survived off of potato chips and Pepsi. And maybe some Slurpees. Maybe a lot of pot. Maybe a lot of liquor too. And poutine and hamburgers. So there's nothing inherently wrong with that kind of stuff. But it doesn't sustain you, right? I lived off fast food for the longest time too. It's really only been the last 5 years or so. Probably a lot longer than that. Since I moved to Calgary, so 2014, 2013 or so. Then I've actually started paying attention to my diet and making better choices and cutting things, not necessarily cutting things out or restricting things, but really paying attention to what I eat and how it affects me, especially over the last few months, tracking my macros and stuff, right? It's simple. Garbage in, garbage out. If you're eating garbage all the time, you're going to have, chances are, like, when I talk to people who, they have a lot of brain fog, they're fatigued, they don't have a lot of energy. A lot of that is fitness and a lot of that is nutrition, right? You can't outwork a bad diet, and our nutrition impacts all of our lives, right? Consistent energy levels throughout the day. You need food, not caffeine, not energy drinks. You need to eat more, right? A proper diet, it gives you that energy you need to go about the day. It also elevates your mood, right? And when you're eating healthy, you don't really have to worry about brain fog and that kind of stuff. Yes, you sort of do, but it does make a big difference. Since I started eating healthy, and same with clients and other people that I know, even family, right? Even my parents, eating healthy has really changed people's moods, really changed people's life. It changes your body, it changes your physique. If you're struggling to have clarity, if you're struggling to feel aligned and focused and just in your day, in the moment, look at your diet. What are you eating? Are you going out to restaurants all the time? Not only is it expensive, the food isn't always the most healthiest, right? A lot of that is processed heat and serve. When I worked at restaurants, the reason that I didn't work at these big chain restaurants is because a lot of the dishes at these restaurants are manufactured in some warehouse, heavily processed and shipped out. So as a cook, as a chef, all we really need to do is throw stuff together and cook it, right? You get a lot more healthy food at home. You get a lot more fresh food at home. And that's why I chose to work in like small local pubs or locally owned restaurants, is because a lot of it was, the majority of the food was fresh. Granted, some pasta sauces and stuff like that, depending on where I work, were processed, were canned, or were from Costco or Superstore or something like that. But when you go to the smaller, more locally owned restaurants, you're getting a lot higher quality of food as opposed to these big chain restaurants, right? So making food at home makes a big impact. What you're eating at home makes a big impact, right? Our bodies, sometimes, depending on how you metabolize food, you're going to run better off of carbs or you're going to run better off of fats. Or maybe it's pretty even. But that's just something you could experiment with and you could play with, right? And if some people, including myself, if I eat too many carbs, if I eat too heavy carbs, I'm like slow, I'm sluggish, I'm not thinking straight, I'm almost mopey, right? Whereas I'm starting to find for myself, as I'm eating more fatty foods and cutting down on the carbs, I actually have a lot more energy through the day. I have a lot more clarity. I can focus, I can plan better, I can do so much more, right? Your diet is one of the simplest things that you can work on to greatly get better results and get better performance throughout your life from a holistic point of view. in your business, with your relationships, right? Because here's the thing. If you don't feel like producing, if you don't feel like putting out, you're not going to. We can't outrun our emotions. Sure, we can manipulate our emotions to an extent, right? We can pop on a motivational speech, or we can listen to some music. There are some hacks. Jay, what's going on, brother? There are some hacks that we can use going throughout our days in order to kind of manipulate our emotions, if you will. But it only goes so far. That as soon as you take that external factor away, you're right back to where you were, right? If you're overeating, you're gonna feel slow. You're gonna feel sluggish. I'm one to talk. I just ate like 600 grams of fettuccine Alfredo. So I kind of going a little bit, right? I know I'm gonna be feeling that later. I'm gonna pass out hard. But you know what? I was craving carbs, so I went for carbs. Overall, though, generally, I'm craving fat. I want fat. I run better off of fat. And everybody's body is different. So again, recap. Restaurants. If you're going to these big chain restaurants, a lot of stuff is manufactured and processed within warehouses, right? Well, not warehouses, but food processing factories, food processing warehouses. I guess that's still a warehouse. But a lot of that stuff is processed, and it's packaged and it's frozen to make the turnaround times a lot faster, right? Whereas you go to a small local pub or a local restaurant, anyways, a family-owned restaurant, where you cook for yourself, it's fresh, and you get that burst of energy, right? Pay attention to what you eat. It doesn't matter whether you want results in your body. It doesn't matter whether you want results in your business or better relationships, or you want to be more mindful. The food that you eat on a consistent basis is really going to impact those results for better or for worse. I can't stress that enough. People discredit food all the time, and part of it, depending on the culture and how you were raised, food is like, can be like alcohol is to some people, right? I mean, one of those things you binge on, or it's just a part of your lifestyle where you're always eating. But I find often talking to those people, they're feeling slow, they're feeling lethargic, right? They're not feeling themselves. Your relationship with food can be detrimental in a lot of ways, but it can also be positive in a lot of ways as well. So I encourage each and every single one of you, look at your relationship with food. Look at how you're eating, when you're eating, how often you're eating, how much you're eating, where you're getting your food, where you're shopping from, right? Because all of these things, it's going to make a profound difference in your life once you start paying attention to it. Like, since I started eating healthier years ago, I started making better choices and started having a more positive relationships with food. And don't get me wrong, I still love my burgers, I still love my pastas, my pizzas, my poutines. Poutines are good. I love me some poutine. But I don't live off of that stuff anymore, right? Because when I did, again, I was slow. I was lethargic. I had so much brain fog. I couldn't focus. Americans are leaders in obesity. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say Americans. I'd say North Americans in general, right? It's a huge problem up here in Canada as well. You don't see it so much in Europe because Europe is a lot more active, right? They tend to bike to work a lot more, rollerblade a lot more, walk to work a lot more. They tend to do a lot more, whereas our culture out here in the West is very much based around instant gratification, and it's based around convenience and speed, which in a lot of ways it's good, but it's also detrimental because we're not getting out and we're not going for those walks. Like, one of the best things you can do to combat obesity is go out and walk 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be all at once, but just walking and paying attention to your food, proper nutrition, proper exercise will kill it. But we're not taught growing up, we're not taught as kids how to have a positive relationship with food, how food affects us. And science and studies are to blame for it. You can look up almost any nutritional topic, and you're going to have a 50-50 split on a lot of things across the board. Some studies will say that this is good, some studies will say that it's not. Right? But here's the thing. The thing is, that happens because everybody's body's different. We all metabolize certain foods differently. Our DNA is all coded differently. what you need to do is you need to figure out what works for your body and what doesn't work for your body. Just because it works for somebody else doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. Doesn't mean that it's going to be sustainable. Doesn't mean that it's going to work out over the long term. And it's not until you start monitoring and tracking your habits that you're going to be able to start see those trends, right? I'm starting to feel that I ate way too much of that fettuccine Alfredo for dinner. I'm starting to feel it in my belly. I'm starting to feel heavy, lethargic, slow. Starting to feel that brain fog kicking in. I know I overdid it, but guess what? I wanted some carbs. It's the price I got to pay. For me, it's not an all the time thing. It's okay. Just like having a drink. Going out, having alcohol, it's not an inherently bad thing, but how often you're drinking, how much you're drinking, all of those things take into effect. I'm one to talk about this. I know how bad it is for me, but I'm horrible with energy drinks, right? First thing I do when I'm done my workout in the morning is I slam back an energy drink. Now that's changing. Now that my post-workout routine is slamming back ignition, some high glycemic carbs with my protein powder, my rapid assimilation protein, I don't get that craving for energy drinks anymore after my workout to kickstart me, to get me going. Right on, Jay. Sound good, brother. Give me a call tomorrow. Or something. We'll figure out what we're going to do for this dance collaboration. Whip something together for the crew. It's going to be good. Looks like thunder showers out here might hold up for a bit. But anyways, I'm starting to ramble and repeat myself. So that's a good sign that it is time to kill this live. So again, if you watch this in the future, hashtag replay. Smash those like buttons, smash those heart buttons, whip this back into the newsfeed, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. If you need help with your diet, with your nutrition, any of that, I got a private Facebook group. Hit me up, send me a request, drop a comment. I'll put you in the private Facebook group. It's completely private, it's completely free, and it's a safe place to ask questions, share your knowledge, whatever you need. If you need help with food and stuff like that, I got an app for that too. Send you the link for the app. We can start figuring out where you're at. What are your habits? What are your relationships with food? What's serving you and what isn't? See what I did there? That was a nice little pun. I didn't even plan that. But we can figure out how your habits and your routines are impacting you, whether it's for better or for worse, right? I only started tracking my macros myself for like the past 2 months, 3 months. I only started weighing what I'm eating 2 days ago. It's actually been a whole week now. Got my scale on Monday. That's right. Posted about it Tuesday. Wanted to make sure I was going to actually use it before I posted it. But man, I found out that I'm actually eating a lot more than I thought I was. I thought I was under eating consistently. Turns out I eat a lot more than I realized. But once we start tracking our habits and learning our routines and understanding our relationship with food, we can start making better choices. We can start growing as a person. And we can overall make our lives and our relationships with ourselves and everyone around us that much better. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a wonderful night. Tomorrow's the last live. We'll see you soon.